Hey, what's going on guys? Zach Crawford here, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to actually select your niche. Now this is going to be a two-part video series. There's going to be one today and one tomorrow, and I also want to basically let you know right below this actual video, this whole series that I'm doing over the next week or so is actually going to be going in a playlist, and it's all about how to launch an affiliate marketing business and get to $100 a day. So, for most people that will pretty much change their life, and the reason I focus on $100 a day is because it's not that hard to do, and once you can make $100 a day, you can literally scale up to $500 a day, $1,000 a day, and go much farther beyond. So with that being said, what I want to do is talk about, my 5 best tips that I use personally anytime I go into any new business. I've created over 200 plus websites. I've been in over 150 different niches. So this is a process that, I've refined over time, probably over the last 5 years or so. And it's something that, it's not super sexy, especially this topic, picking a niche, right? But it's the first stage of a business. Like if you just go in there and you're like, hey, I'm going to go do this, and you don't do any research, you don't verify that it's profitable, you don't verify there's lots of products to sell, you don't verify people are spending, money consistently day in and day out, you could be wasting a lot of your time and getting frustrated, and it's going to make you want to quit. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through what I suggest, from the start, from everything from starting from the very beginning to building to growing. So tip number 1 is the myth that you need to be an expert. And the reason I'm sharing this first is because I see so many people think that they need to be an expert when they get started. And here's the thing, none of us come out of the womb as an expert, right? You have to gain expert status by becoming valuable to your audience, by staying in the game consistently while everybody else, does something for 2 weeks and then quits. That's how you become an expert. And what I had to do over the course of my career is constantly put out valuable content on different social media platforms to basically get to that status level, right? And I still don't even call myself an expert to this day. I've made well over 7 figures, and I still consider myself a constant student. So that's tip number 1 for the whole basis is that you don't have to be an expert, right? And how I really reel this story home, I always tell this to all of my social media audience, is that basically the story Catch Me If You Can. Now, if you don't know that, it's played by Leonardo DiCaprio. I butchered his name there a little bit. And the character is Frank Abagnale. And basically Frank is a fraud, so to speak, right? And he's running from the FBI, and he ends up playing all these different roles, everything from like a pilot to a teacher. And at one point, he basically gets up in front of this college class and starts teaching the class. And basically, he keeps teaching the class every day because what happened is the teacher just never showed up. So he took the role as the teacher. And what's funny is later when the FBI called him, they're like, Frank, how in the world did you teach this college class and you're not a professor? He goes, oh, it's easy. I just read 1 chapter ahead in the book. And when I heard that, I was like, man, this is how, anybody can go in and be an expert, so to speak, because an expert is really subjective. It's what your audience clarifies as an expert. And what you got to understand, especially when you're starting out, if you're doing affiliate marketing per se, and I don't even care if you want to sell your own products, you're not going to be the expert in the beginning. You're going to have to earn that status by constantly becoming valuable to your audience. But if you just know 1 chapter ahead in the book, you just know a little bit more than your audience, you can literally go in and carve out your own piece of the pie. I don't care if right now there's 1,000 people in the niche that you decide to go in. Actually, I would much rather you go into a niche that has 1,000 competitors than go into one that has 5. And the reason being is that tells me that if there's 1,000 people in that niche, there's a lot of freaking money to be made there, right? You go into the niche that has 5 competitors, and you may think it's going to be easier, but what I can tell you is when you do what's easy, it's hard. When you go where all the money is, you have so much room to grow. Remember what I said, you can go from like $100 a day to $500 a day, $1,000 a day and beyond. And I know if you haven't made that kind of money, it's probably kind of hard to wrap your mind around that you can really do that. But I can tell you that it can go very, very fast if you're consistent with what you're doing. So realize you do not need to be the expert right out of the gate. You just need to know a little bit more than the audience that you're sharing or teaching. And one of the things you can do is document from day 1. So this is the second part of tip number 1, which is you don't need to be the expert. And this goes back to one of my old clients that basically came to me. They were 40 pounds overweight. They were about 41, I think 43 years old, somewhere around there. Had 2 kids, a wife, a full-time job. And they used to be in amazing shape like when they were like in their 20s. And they loved fitness. And they wanted to go into the fitness industry, but they had this like thought like, man, I'm a fraud. I'm overweight. I can't share content and build a brand around fitness because I'm overweight. And one of the things I want you to realize, for one, even if you were overweight, you literally could still be in the fitness industry, because all you're doing, especially as an affiliate, if you're not creating your own products, is you're connecting the dots. Here's the person, that is trying to figure out how to lose weight. Here's the product that you're selling. All you're doing is you're bridging the gap. You're connecting them to the person that can help them. But what I explained to him is, I said, I want you to think about the power of this. Right now you're 40 pounds overweight. Now just imagine in 3 months, if you follow what you're supposed to do, it literally takes 12 weeks. I know, because I've done this several times. I've been overweight, lost the weight, been overweight, lost the weight. In 12 weeks, you can be shredded. I don't care if you're 40 pounds overweight, because I've done it. And so what I explained to him, imagine the power of that if you just start documenting and sharing your journey. And so you share like the supplements you're taking, you share what you're eating, you share your emotions, because let's be honest, there's going to be days you feel like crap and don't feel like doing it. You share your self-doubts about how you just can't imagine getting over being able to lose the weight. And then you share like your motivation, what's keeping you going. And then what happens is 12 weeks down the road, you see your change, right? And now people are going to take you as an expert, because you are a walking testimonial, and you're going to be able to carve out your own piece of the pie. Now what they can do is look back over all your content, look back at your old pictures or your videos or wherever you're creating content to build your brand, and they're going to look at you as an authority just because of the fact that you went through it. And what's going to happen is now they're going to relate to you. Now they're going to trust your recommendations on products you recommend to them. They're going to trust the tips you share with them because you got the result that they wanted. And so in the beginning, if you have no knowledge when you're just starting out, you can go into an industry that you have zero knowledge, and all you have to be willing to do is learn. If you're willing to learn and then share the tips that you're doing, just like Frank did, you just need to be one chapter ahead in the book. You never claim that you're an expert if you're not an expert. I mean, in my opinion, that's the definition of a scam or fraud, right? If you're trying to say, I'm an expert and I make $1,000 a day, and you don't make $1,000 a day, and say you're in the make money online niche, or if you're in the fitness industry and you're claiming that you're an expert, yet you've not got anybody else results nor yourself, people are not going to take you seriously. However, if you're sharing what you're doing, it's not going to be taken like that. I don't even care if you're in the make money online industry. I see people all the time on YouTube saying, oh, people that are teaching that haven't done it. But at the end of the day, if you're just sharing what you're doing, like, hey, I'm learning this and I'm learning that, and here's what I'm doing, there's going to be plenty of people that are going to buy products from you just because of the fact that you help them. Because most people, all they do, especially on YouTube, is sell, sell, sell. They don't really give a whole lot of value. They're just trying to give a little bit of value and then sell something. And YouTube is a community. And really, any social media platform is. So if you're willing to give value to an audience, it doesn't matter what industry you go into, you can be a nobody and actually become an expert. All right, so my second tip is to pick a niche that you're interested in. Here's what I mean. If you're going to have to, whether you're going to be writing content, you're going to create a podcast, you're going to do a YouTube channel, content is the staple to building an online business. So if you're going to pick an online business that you're going to create a lot of content in, you want to pick something you love and you're interested in. Now, a lot of people say, make it your passion. I don't really think that it needs to be your passion. Like, honestly, if I was to do my passion, it would probably be stuff like cars or some of my other hobbies. You want to pick something that you're actually interested in, that you can see yourself cut. All right, so my second tip is to pick a niche that you're interested in. Now, I don't really believe in this thing that most people say, you need to be passionate about what you're doing, or you got to love, the niche that you're in. Because at the end of the day, there's some niches that maybe you're passionate about or you love that just aren't very profitable. Like maybe it's a one-time customer where people just buy things once. It's going to be hard to scale a business like that. Or, something that just, there's not much products for sale, even though you love it. You don't want to be the only person in the niche or one of the first people, the pioneers to get things going. You want to go somewhere where there's lots of people already making money, lots of people already creating content, lots of people selling stuff. That's where the money's made, right? So you want to find something that you're at least interested in a little bit, the idea of. You could go into something that you want to learn a new hobby. An example, like right now, I'm filming on my camera equipment. You can't see all the different camera equipment I have around my office, but it's a hobby. Honestly, I could see myself going into something like that because I enjoy it. I don't know as much about it as I should, but it's something like, hey, I want to learn to master photography and videography. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing all the stuff as I learn. Remember what I said, you can document the process. Like, make money online is not the only niche that you can make money from. So if I went into that niche, I would basically go and learn and share. I would do reviews on the camera equipment I'm using. I would show the process and the things that I'm doing, and then share like how I learned it. And basically I would even reference out other sources that have good content. I would become an authority in the space by actually creating content consistently on something that I was actually interested in. If you're going to have to write articles, I can tell you from creating all the insane amount of websites and as I said, I've been in 150 niches, but what I can tell you is Most of those I hated. That's why I created so many. I made money in a lot of them. But what would happen is I would go into them, I would start getting some traction, and then I would burn out. I would get tired of writing articles, or I'd hate doing videos about the topics. And so if you're going into a niche that your only motive is just to make money, you can't really see yourself being very passionate about it, you probably shouldn't do it. And the reason being is you're not going to stick with it, because, you know, in the end of the day, to dominate and become an expert in the niche, you need to immerse yourself in it. This is what I always tell everybody: immerse yourself in the niche. And that means becoming a student of the niche. That means constantly consuming content so you can get more knowledgeable, so you can actually become the expert. And this is how you grow. And so if you can't find yourself, like, you know, for me, I'm listening to podcasts every single day while I walk. I'm watching YouTube videos on my niche. I'm constantly getting books and going to seminars. You know, if you can't find yourself even liking the idea of studying the content to get better, you probably should avoid it, because at the end of the day, you're going to burn out. It doesn't matter how much money you can make. I know if right now you're just getting started, you think, oh man, if I can make tons of money, I don't care. I can tell you right now, there's been businesses that I made tons of money and I just didn't want to do it. I woke up every morning and was like, fuck this. So at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, right, I can tell you, I don't care if you're making $20,000 a day, you're going to be miserable. So you want to pick something you can see yourself sticking with. Now, tip number 3 is the big 3 niches. And what I mean by this, it's health, wealth, and relationships. So health, of course, is stuff like, you know, losing weight. It could also be, you know, a thyroid disorder. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of sub niches in every category. Another example of health could be, you know, it can say weight loss. You would think weight loss in the health category is just like generalized, everybody wants to lose weight, but it's not. You know, some people may be into yoga. It could be the paleo diet. It could be the low carb diet. It could be intermittent fasting. It could be the keto diet. There's so many different like programs out there, or topics that people are passionate about. If we're talking about wealth, right, it could be Forex. It could be affiliate marketing, like what I teach. It could be network marketing. It could be cryptocurrency. It could be Shopify. It could be Amazon. And, you know, I could keep going on and on and on and naming several categories in there. If we're talking about relationships and dating, it could be like how to get your ex back. It could be how to improve your marriage. It could be how to get a girlfriend. There's all these different types of sub niches inside of the niche. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit later how to find these different niches if you don't already know how. But realize that there's literally, usually for the most part, in those 3 main categories, the big broad categories, there's thousands of niches in each individual one. Now, my final tip in this actual tip of the big 3 is pick something that's like competitive. You know, this is the biggest mistake I see people make. I made this mistake when I first started. My logic was, if I go in something with like no competition, like it's going to be so easy to make money. And what happened was I made a little bit of money, but then I was capped because there wasn't that many people searching for it. Not that many people cared to learn about it. You know, you want to find things that literally, like, people are creating content on Instagram, creating content on YouTube, creating content on Facebook, you know, on Google. If all those boxes are checked, you know, for the most part, you're going to get filthy rich if you stick with it. You know, it really comes down to what your goals are. But when people are creating content on all those platforms and it's very, very competitive, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be the pioneer of the niche. You don't want to be the person trying to basically be the only, you know, 1, 2, or 3 competitors, because that means you don't really have very much room to grow. Now, I've seen people do okay and things like that, but what I can tell you is that it's few and far between. So my suggestion is find something that's super competitive. Get over that limited mindset that's like, oh man, I can't make money in it. Realize if other people can make money in it, so can you. All right, so tip number 4 is to pick a niche with repeat buyers. Now, what I mean by this is, for the most part, most people refer to this as irrationally passionate. That's what a lot of people say. I just call it repeat buyers. And the reason I say this is because if somebody is in a niche, or they're interested in your niche and they're irrationally passionate, that means that you don't got to worry about making money. You know, they justify, well, I should say they do not justify buying things. You know, example, like when I look around my office, and I'm not saying this to brag, but I probably got at least $10,000 in equipment. Probably $5,000 of that is just my lenses that go on the cameras. Now, if I'm completely honest, I don't even know that much about how to use all the stuff to its full ability, but but I just think it's cool because I love video and I'm fascinated with video and photography. So I don't even sit and think about it. Like if I have the money, which I do, I buy it. And I don't sit and be like, oh man, that lens is $1,500. Now, logic would tell you that's not so smart, right? Why would you go buy all that stuff if you can't even use it to its full capability? But I don't care because I want to learn and I like it, right? And so another example, now this is going to be depending on what your personal beliefs are, but I like guns. And I don't mean like guns as in hunting. That's not my thing. I just like target shooting for a sport. Now, at this current time, this is probably the wrong example to give because there's all kinds of controversy going on in America. But the point is that people that are into guns, they literally are collectors usually. They have like a whole gun cabinet, literally, of endless amounts of guns they collect. Do they need more than one gun? Absolutely not, but they like it. Another example. Anything like, say, golf or a sport, like I'll use the sport that I used to be in, which was skateboarding. When I was a teenager, I was a skateboarder. And actually, if I wouldn't have probably got injured in my motorcycle accident, I probably would have went pro, right? But I spent insane amounts of money on skateboard stuff. But it didn't end with just like, you would think, okay, I just bought a skateboard, right? No, I bought the clothing, I bought the shoes, I bought literally things that silly stuff just because it had a logo on it. Like example, like a wallet, it would have the logo of a skateboarding company and it's like $60. I did not justify, okay, this is expensive stuff. I just said, man, I want this. And, when there's a niche, and another one I could think of, my mom loves quilting, right? She does not justify with logic what things cost. Like example, if she wants the material, which the stuff is very expensive, she gets it. If she wants a sewing machine, it's $1,500 because it does all kinds of pattern things. I don't know much about it. She gets it. And what I'm saying is you want to be in a niche that doesn't use logic. They also are repeat buyers and they buy a lot. If you go into a niche that doesn't really spend money, you're going to have a hard time scaling. If you go into a niche that people just buy a product one time, which in the video tomorrow I'm going to show you and walk you through all this process. I'm giving you the overview today, but tomorrow I'm actually going to show you all this stuff. So if you're watching this 30 days from now, just click down in the description and go to the playlist and watch it step by step. But the point is, you want a place, or you should want a niche that spends a lot of money. Because if they do, that means you can have one customer keep buying stuff from you. And what I can tell you is it's 100 times easier to keep selling products to customers that already bought from you because they trust you over trying to get new customers. And at the same time, if you're in a niche where it's just like a one-time purchase, that means you got to work off volume of people, which is going to make it harder to actually scale your business. So you want a niche that people just buy stuff over and over. A perfect example is make money online. Now, what most people do is they go through the process of like just flip-flopping. They may go try, Shopify, doesn't work for them. They go and do Amazon and they say it doesn't work for them. Then they go to, try affiliate marketing like what I do. And then that doesn't work. And then they go over to say product creation. They just keep bouncing around. And what happens is two things. Either one, they finally realize that they are the problem and they didn't stick with something long enough. Or two, they finally get it because they do get it and realize, hey man, I got to dial down and do this and make it work. But the point is they keep buying. If I ask myself right now, I've spent somewhere in the range of $150,000 on my marketing education. Everything from coaches, several courses, going to seminars, buying books, audios. I literally, as I said, immerse myself into the niche, and I've been in all different types of businesses making money online. And in the early stages, I did the exact process I talked about. I bounced all around. But if I used logic, I wouldn't have spent all that money, right? But I spent it because that itch, that need to make money online and to become wealthy was so deep down, I didn't care what I spent. I didn't care if I go broke. I didn't care if I hit bankruptcy. I was willing to do whatever it takes in order to succeed, and I was willing to spend whatever amount of money I had to do that. Now, tip number five is basically how do you find these niches. So as I said, tomorrow I'm actually going to go in detail about this, but this is the basic process of what you would do. The first place I go to is Amazon. And I literally go to, either Kindle or even to books and type in like Amazon bestsellers. And what I'm doing is looking at some of the big niches, the big categories that are making money there. I also dig through all the different categories. If you play around with Amazon a bit, which I'll show you tomorrow, you can see all the big top tier categories. You're going to see like the main niches, like I talked about, health, wealth, and relationships. And then there's deeper niches inside of those. And it's like it's a rabbit hole. You can just keep going down and down and down. But the niche you pick, you want to verify that things are being sold. Ideally, if you can find things that both have physical and digital products, my favorite hands down are digital products just because there's more money to be made. It's digital, you can sell it again and again and again, or services because services have a high ticket value on them. But also if you can find physical products, stuff like books or even physical products, anything like, phone, electronics, whatever it be, if you can find both, that's a highly profitable niche. Now, the second place I go to is magazines.com. Now, I know this is a bit of an old school method, but I actually still read magazines. So you can go there if you want to just look online. But, for me, in America, I go to Barnes & Noble. So if you can go to like your local bookstore and you just surf around and see what the categories of magazines are, if there's a magazine there, that means that it's highly profitable. Now, the third place I go to is dummies.com. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, but it's a gold mine. Dummies.com is basically, if you haven't heard of it, it's the books like How to Do Yoga for Dummies. And if you go there, you're going to see all these major categories, right? Just insane amount of categories. And these books, if there's something created on it, there's lots of money to be made in every single one of those books. Like they don't create a book unless it has millions upon millions of dollars of potential to be sold. Now, the next place is clickbank.com. So clickbank.com is one of the biggest digital products providers, like literally like the biggest. And so if you can find a category on clickbank.com and then any of the subcategories in there, and there's lots of products being sold, you know that it's going to have a lot of room for growth. So I'm going to show you how to do that tomorrow, actually showing you how to do it on the screen. And the final place is Google and YouTube. So on Google and YouTube, I literally do basic searches. I go try to find blogs. Blogs are one of the most passionate places that people hang out. There's a lot of people now who are stuck on social media, but believe it or not, people still actually read blogs, including myself. And so if there's lots of blogs and websites created on the topic, it's profitable. The second place, of course, is forums when you do this. So when you're doing your Google and YouTube searches, now YouTube, you're obviously not going to be able to find it, but on Google, you go try to find forums. If there's a forum dedicated to the topic, like you can pretty much count on there's a lot of people there, it's passionate, and there's money to be made. Now, the final place, of course, is social media. Social media, hands down, is one of the best places to find if your niche is popular. Now, my favorite place, of course, is where you're watching right now, YouTube, right? If you see a lot of YouTube channels and people creating content on YouTube, that's a great sign that there's money to be made. If you go on Facebook and you can find fan pages and groups, that is a very good sign that, you have a very passionate niche that people are going to buy a lot of products. So that is my 5 tips. That is the process that I go through in order to select a niche. As I said, tomorrow I'm going to walk you through on the screen, show you how I do all these step by step, but I wanted to go over the overview today on my channel to show you how all this works. So if you watch this and you want to keep going on and you're watching this later, the playlist will be in the description. And the final thing is, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I literally post videos every single day. Smash that notification button because that way you get updates of when I post every single day. And with that being said, if you have any comments on any of this process, just comment below. I'm here to help, and I will see you tomorrow.